I'll tell you one thing about Sheikh Waleed Basyouni. There's a lot. He was walking one time, teaching a class, AlMaghrib class, and he tripped due to one of the electric wires.
Yeah.
And when he tripped, the first thing he said was Bismillah. And that's not easy.
Yeah.
Because it's so subconscious. So this kind of, I was so impressed. And out of the whole class, I would say the highlight of my class, some people are like, come on, you're exaggerating. No, one of the highlights of this whole weekend was when he was about to fall off a wire. Because that was subconscious.
Yeah.
When you teach, you can, I'm not saying act, it's a performance. You can, but when you are about to fall,
that's who you are.
Yeah, your true colors show up. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us that the الصبر عند صدمة الأولى. So the true patience pop up the moment you're struck with a calamity. Right?
Yeah.
So I would just, things like that we all learn.
Like most Muslim youth, I knew Islam was the truth, but never took time to study my own deen. I mean, I tried many times to open my eyes, but the style kept putting me to sleep. One day I heard a brother say he was going to a class round the way, so I decided I would make my way and see what they had to say, and I must say, it was like nothing that I had ever seen. So many young people all in love with their deen. For once I felt community, so much unity was new to me. The instructors reached out to me and taught me Islam beautifully. They made the gray clear and were experts in their fields, professional and exceptional, like the answer to my prayers. I never wanted the weekend to end, so many gems and new friends, and now I recommend that everybody should attend. City to city, the impact is pretty amazing, inspiring an entire nation. AlMaghrib Institute, not your typical college or school, but a chance to change your life. Now, what's your excuse?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is your temporary host, Umar Suleiman. Who knows, I might get the permanent gig for Islam 21C Unscripted, our podcast. Alhamdulillah, we're here at IlmFest in Birmingham, the ICC arena, and we have with us another special guest who's asked to be called Father Majed, but judging by his slicked hair, I may have to call him Godfather Majed, mashallah.
Brother Majed.
Brother Majed.
Father.
Yeah, we were just having a joke earlier, actually. And I feel, okay, Brother Majed, but he's also Ustadh Majed. He teaches with AlMaghrib. And so I asked him, what title do you prefer, Sheikh or Imam or Ustadh? And he's like, Brother Majed. I thought, okay, mashallah.
You know, the thing about titles, sometimes let the people provide that title and not yourself, depending on your situation.
Yeah.
And for now, maybe later on down the year, or the years come, white hair, grayish coming, and maybe the sheikh from a linguistic, meaning elder, right? Yeah. But as of now, preference is brother or even first name, just Majid, that works as well.
Okay, mashallah, mashallah, that's good.
Exactly.
So, Majid, where are you from? What's your background?
So I live in Detroit, Michigan, in the United States.
Will people get that reference?
As in...
Put your hands up.
I don't get that reference personally.
Oh my... There was a famous song I was told by Mahmoud, and he used to go, put your hands up for Detroit.
MashaAllah. I moved to Detroit 5 years ago.
Okay.
Plus, I don't listen to music. So
no, this is old school.
I just got in trouble. May Allah protect.
I'm going to call Robocop on you. Another Detroit reference for those who don't know.
That one I got.
Yeah.
So that's where I live at the moment. I used to live in Canada most of my life.
Oh, whereabouts in Canada?
20 minutes away from Detroit, which is a city called Windsor.
Windsor, okay.
About 3 hours south of Toronto.
3 hours south? So you're quite near the border then? Huh?
Yes.
Ah, mashallah, okay.
Yes.
And you born and brought up in?
No, I was born in Saudi Arabia. I know some next
Saudi.
Yeah.
Are you?
No, not Saudi. Yeah. No. You can live there for years and no, you won't be.
Where are you from? As in, what's your heritage from then?
How far up do you want me to go?
At least 2 generations.
Where were you born?
I was born in the UK.
So if someone asks you where you're from, what do you say?
I say I'm of Pakistani heritage.
Okay. Where was your father born?
Pakistan.
So you stopped at... So you were not born in Pakistan, yet you attribute yourself to it, correct?
Yeah.
So some people are like that. But the thing is that why do you stop at your father? Why not you go to your great-grandpa, great-great-grandpa, great-great-great-grandpa? Then you will reach to where? If you go all the way up, who will you reach at one point?
Adam alayhi salam.
And where's he from? Jannah.
Jannah.
So I'm from Jannah.
Inshallah, we will get back there.
So that's why we say.
But in between.
No, heritage from Palestine.
Okay, mashallah.
Yes.
Do you still go back? Do you still have any connections there?
I never went there, but inshallah soon we'll visit. But I never visited Palestine, but soon inshallah. Have you?
No, not yet. Actually, one of our colleagues, Mahmoud, he's going soon, inshallah.
Excellent.
So I've noticed in the last, I think, couple of years, a lot more people are going.
Yes.
They're making it, I don't know, alhamdulillah, there seems to be a bit of a revival.
Yes.
Going back to Palestine.
There's tours taking place. Many of our teachers, mashayikh, are holding programs. So there is an influx, as you referenced. Yes.
So you're born and brought up in Saudi, and then
during high school, I moved to Canada.
Okay. And how was the Canadian experience for you?
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Is it quite cold where you were in Windsor?
Yes. Yeah, it can get very cold, yes.
Right. So did you eat the beaver's tails?
La, alhamdulillah.
Beaver's tails, that's a famous delicacy in...
But not my delicacy.
Oh, what's your delicacy? Then?
Biryani.
Biryani?
How about that?
Oh, mashallah, mashallah. I knew there's something about Sheikh.
But boneless chicken, please.
Boneless
chicken, boneless meat, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm a boneless type.
Don't ask for much, do you?
Yeah.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So, kind of moved across to Windsor, grew up, went for the normal schooling. Okay, and then at which point or were you always kind of practicing? Did you start making the journey from Majed to Brother Majed?
Brother Majed, my journey. So obviously in Saudi Arabia, you get some foundational studies. The thing that kind of triggered the more academic, more serious path of knowledge was actually through AlMaghrib Institute.
Okay, mashallah.
So I believe I started...
As a student?
Yeah, as a student, 2007 or 8 in November was my first class. And since then, I got very much hooked.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, so I haven't been taking classes.
What was your first class?
A Heart Serene by Sheikh Riyadh. Yes, it was wonderful.
He's also Canadian, was he
Canadian?
Yeah.
Yes, he is. He lives in Canada as well. MashaAllah, was a wonderful class. And from there, I enjoyed it and then start joining. So AlMaghrib was the stepping stone to finishing the degree with them. Took me like about 10 years almost to finish it.
MashaAllah.
With a class every 3 months and so on and so forth. And then got me also to learn from my local imam, local sheikh. So I got to appreciate him. So
good. And
then the third and last stage so far that I completed was a bachelor's from Medina International University.
Okay.
Which is based in Malaysia.
Yes, yeah. IIUM?
No, IIM is in Malaysia, a very good school, but the one I went to is called Al-Madina International University.
Okay, all right. And you actually went out to Malaysia?
No, online.
All online?
Yeah.
Okay, how was that experience?
It's good. It's a typical 4-year program. Did my bachelor's in fiqh and usul fiqh. So, alhamdulillah, it's good.
You recommend it?
I need to know the person asking to be able to recommend it to them or not. So depending on the person.
What qualities would you say would make a person?
I would say I'll ask the person, what is your goal?
Yeah.
Do you want to become a scholar? Do you want to have a point just to, like, let's say a youth director, that field of just, da'wah within any to specific level. So according to the level you want to achieve is according to the advice that you get.
Okay. All right, mashallah.
Yes.
And so was giving da'wah something that you wanted to do before Al-Maghrib? So you went to Al-Maghrib, or was it after you started going Al-Maghrib?
No, it began with Al-Maghrib, then start teaching.
So those videos you used to do, the short videos, mashallah, I remember them, and then you kind of say, point down with the dua and stuff, which was very popular. That was, you'd already started going to Al-Maghrib when you started to produce those?
Yeah, so I was already taking classes and everything. I was not an instructor or anything like that, but yeah. So, and that's something obviously we have to appreciate, which is learning then preaching.
Yeah.
All right. So one cannot preach without learning, and obviously the ultimate goal, learn, practice, preach.
Yeah.
Correct. So tried my best to
stick to service.
Yeah.
Rather than lip service.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good one. I like that actually.
Use that. Trademarked almost.
Trademark.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So now, how long have you been a formal teacher at Al-Maghrib for?
I think I started 2016.
26. Okay, mashallah.
Yeah.
4 years now.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
And teaching the same course, I believe you're teaching Tazkiyah and Edeeb?
Yes.
As in separate courses or in one course?
In one. It's titled The Art of Manners.
The Art of Manners?
Yes.
Okay, mashallah. And what did you use as your reference for this?
Wallahi, several. يعني, I'm more into taking content from the actual sheikh at times more than books. It depends on the situation, but most of my references come from Arabic texts. There's a very famous encyclopedia called Nadrat al-Na'im. So I'm about to sneeze, I'm holding it. Okay, it's gone. So it's like encyclopedia that includes any positive trait, manner you can imagine. So anything you can say right now, modesty, humbleness, it's in that encyclopedia. And it also includes any negative traits, arrogance. So it's wonderful. And it's compiled by scholars from around any different parts of the world. So that was one of the main references.
And it's only available in Arabic?
Yeah, as of now, from my understanding. Yes.
Okay,
so that was a major part, yeah.
And so you kind of just went through that by yourself or with a teacher? Or
So let's say I read a hadith from it, and I would obviously preference is that I see a scholar to explain the hadith to me, because sometimes reading without understanding can cause more harm than good.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum guys, sorry to butt in, but if you're enjoying this podcast, please head over to islam21c.com/donate to help us make more. And if you're not enjoying it, head over anyway and help us make better ones.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So
have you got any examples of something that was seen as good manners or bad manners that has become so prevalent today that you can't understand why it was given that status?
As in, give me an example.
Well, I was going to ask you for that one. You throw it back at me.
Yeah.
So, or even like a contradictory example. So, in certain cultures, to stand up for someone is seen as the done thing.
Okay.
In other times, it may seem that you shouldn't do it.
Yes.
You know, from the Islamic perspective, to stand up for someone.
Mm-hmm.
So reconciling sometimes, what seems like contradictory commands.
Yes.
Have you come across things like this?
Yes, 100%. So what's very beautiful about Islam, and some people may not know that or not sure, Islam does not just accommodate your culture. Islam at times obligates you to take your culture as a reference.
Okay.
So, for example, if I were to put my feet on a table in front of my parents, in some cultures that's disrespectful.
Yeah.
In other cultures, it's actually not disrespectful.
Canadian.
That's actually very true in a way, right?
Yeah.
So in the Canadian culture or in general, you can put your feet on a chair in front of your professor at school.
Yes.
Right. So the seat in front of you is empty. Mm-hmm. You put your feet on top of that chair, and no one will rebuke you for that. It's fine. But if you do that, let's say in one Middle Eastern culture, that's disrespectful to your teacher, disrespectful to your parents. So in one place, it can be a way to be punished by Allah, deserving of punishment, and another way you're not. And this is referring to what the scholars have taught us. So what's the rule here is to respect your parents.
Yeah.
So in some respect, if it's within the boundaries of Islam, that's fine. So and actually, some parents, they tell you, oh son, you look very tired. I want you to put your feet and rest. So you actually will get reward, inshallah, if you listen to your parents and you put your feet on the table. Right? So that's where the kind of culture can come in. And that's where very important as a speaker, when I teach my class, let's say about respecting parents, the examples I need to give need to be in line with the culture.
Okay, yeah.
So that's important.
Is manners the best translation for adab?
The best, when I was putting the class together, we went through the words character, manners, traits, behavior, and you have all these the words. So I wouldn't say it's the best.
Okay. Yeah, it's good.
I feel I feel طبعا this is subjective, right? Because it's a language as well. I feel that one of the deepest words is character or nature.
Yeah.
So what's your nature like? Okay. So this is your
being.
It's a deeper. So akhlaq is a deep thing.
Yeah.
It's akhlaq is different than khalq. So khalq is creation, right? And khuluq is your character. Khalq is your outer appearance. Khuluq is your inner appearance.
Okay, subhanAllah.
So khalq I see with my sight. Khuluq I see with insight.
Wow, mashallah.
You know what I mean? So when I take a picture of you, I see your khalq, but not necessarily your khuluq, your character. So in Arabic, it's beautiful. The words, what's the best word for this? I'll tell you in Arabic. But in English, it's kind of subjective.
Challenging.
Yeah, it's definitely.
Sometimes I've heard the word etiquette used, but actually etiquette isn't comprehensive enough.
Yes.
So etiquette will tell you in the UK, we have this thing that when you go to dinner, you have your knives on the left and your forks on the left and your knives on the right. Correct. And they go outwards smaller. This particular glass is for water and da-da-da-da. That's etiquette, that you always start like that and you go inwards. The way you put your knife and fork on a plate, believe it or not.
Yeah.
If you have it crossed, it means you're still eating. If you have it put it together and to the side, it means you weren't happy with your meal, but you finished. If you put it in the middle together, it means you were happy, satisfied with your meal and the meal is finished. So the people who are serving you will pick it up. Wow. So they will say, oh, it's good manners to do this, but it's etiquette. But actually, the point that you're saying about your being, irrespective of who you're with, where you are, the way you treat people. For example, I'm trying to use this sometimes when I'm speaking to people. You don't change that. It's who you are in dealing with people. Etiquette will tell you how to behave.
Yes.
But I guess...
it's also culture influence, right?
Will tell you how to be almost what's good like that. So from your own experience, give us an example of some really bad manners or some bad akhlaq that you've shown and you look back and you think, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
I did that? Oh my goodness. So expose myself. # exposed.
Yeah. Turning up the podcast late.
Okay.
Just as an example.
I'll give you an example. Okay, this is a learning experience to all of us.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, and I will say younger, huh?
Yeah. Sure.
There was a group of brothers sitting together, and one of them was a guest from overseas.
Yeah.
And while he was sitting, he criticized a cab driver. Right. He said, your cab driver here is, he said, stupid and things like that. So I was shocked, also the choice of words. Then he said, I told the cab driver to pick me up from such and such nightclub and drop me off at such and such location, and he only charged me such and such amount, which was lower than what expected. So he's like, this guy lost his mind. So when I was younger, and then this is a mistake from my end, is that I right away jumped and judged him. And I said, maybe you're the one who was drunk because you left what? Nightclub, and you don't know what you're doing and stuff. So he got so offended, he told the one next to him, answer this guy. So the other guy spoke and he's like, Brother Majed, come on, akhi, you kind of rushed into this. The brother was lost, and the closest place to him was the nightclub. So when he gave the address to the cab driver, the only thing was the nightclub. So he says, I'm near such and such. He was not in there. He just used it as a reference for the Google Maps, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. So I felt, subhanAllah, the rushing of judging, without clarification and giving advice and in not understanding where the other person came from and verification. So that was an example of, I think, a learning curve for me, and I share it with others. Before you give advice, just make sure you understand the situation fully.
And do you have an example of when you were the recipient of good manners, something that made you stand back and really appreciate the manners of the person?
Someone did something to me?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a lot. People overall, I think, are wonderful. And
it's not just because you look like a mobster.
No, alhamdulillah, in our community, alhamdulillah, there's a lot of wonderful people. I have an example. Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, let me give you something very recent. Just yesterday, he came to Birmingham, or Brum, as you guys call it.
Yeah.
So, and my session was later at night, so I came to Birmingham this morning.
Okay.
So before he left last night, he gave me a whole pack of chocolate. He said, take this with you on your way to Birmingham in the morning and share it with others. So these gestures, being very thoughtful, was such great akhlaq. Another thing was another brother from HQ. His name is Ali Mirali.
Okay.
Sure.
Yes, yeah.
So he is so busy, all right, and very, very busy. And he's left London very late at night, and he's driving to Birmingham for the conference to set up everything, and he's so exhausted, and he texts me, "Did you have dinner?"
MashaAllah.
Yani with all the schedule you have in your head and your mind and the people you're dealing with, and you want to ask if Majed had dinner or not. And that's so thoughtful. Wallahi, yani these touches are priceless.
MashaAllah.
This is just the akhlaq of being caring about your brothers and sisters, loving for them what you love for yourself, and
empathy.
Yeah, absolutely. Emotional intelligence at its best, in a way.
Yeah, MashaAllah.
So alhamdulillah, we have a lot of things like that.
So we haven't got any chocolate for you though, Sheikh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we didn't even ask if you had lunch or water or anything. But don't worry about that. No, Jazakumullah. Actually, it's a good example.
Exactly.
So you're not full-time Sheikh teacher, are you?
No.
What do you do otherwise? What's the day job?
My full-time job is actually engineering.
Okay, mashallah.
Yeah, so I'm a typical 8 to 5 guy.
Yeah.
I work.
What type of engineering? Did you study engineering in
I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering.
Okay.
And I specialized in automotive engineering. So I work currently on shock absorbers.
Shock absorbers. But in Detroit?
Yes, sir.
I thought the car industry went down in Detroit, wasn't it?
It did go down big time, but alhamdulillah, there's a massive pickup.
GM Motors?
Yes.
So
I work and supply parts to the Cadillac part of type of
they're
vehicles.
The ones in the bounce, yeah?
All the good stuff. Yeah,
the shock absorbers, you need those for when you're playing some Boona Muhammad Nasheeds, mashallah. Yeah, we may have been listening to a couple on our journey up as well.
Alhamdulillah. Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so so you studied engineering formally.
So this is what I do full time. Alhamdulillah, I've been doing it for 10 years or maybe a bit. Actually, no, more. Wow. I completely miscalculated. I've been doing it for a long time, more than 10 years.
Okay. Enjoy?
Alhamdulillah, we're so blessed.
Do you think you're quite, how should I say, logical in terms of the way you process things because of your engineering background?
I do not find it like that until people start telling me that.
Right, okay.
And this is on a side point. Many times for you to know who you are, hear it from other people. So I did not realize that people say, we like sometimes, not always, how you break things, in your topic, concise description. So being detailed is part of our job, and making sure that I will not go to point 2 until you understand point 1, right? So we solve a problem. To solve a problem, you have to know the root cause. Yep. So you know the root cause, you identify that, then you provide solutions, then you implement. So this very type of methodology, and it just kind of transferred into my lecturing. Sometimes it's good, and sometimes it can be.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you something interesting. Maybe you may not be able to comment on it, but I'm hoping you can, inshallah.
Bismillah.
They used to say that, brothers from a certain type of school, Islamic schools, I'll just say Salafis.
Okay.
They went more into engineering because of the way it was structured. Versus people who are perhaps of a Sufi background or inclination, they used to prefer the topics or subjects which were like the arts.
Yes.
But you're teaching a topic on tazkiyah. So what's that one about?
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
So first of all,
but you can understand where it's going.
Because
of the structure, everything's kind of defined.
You can even say that from a gender perspective.
Okay.
Right. So in engineering, right? In engineering, you hardly see women.
Alhamdulillah.
Right.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
Implementing the Islamic laws in your workplace.
May Allah protect us, all of us. But there's more and more women getting into engineering. So there's obviously these things in nursing. You find a lot more women than men, right? Yes. And they're just tendencies. And on a side note, I personally do not go with labels. So within Sufi or Salafi, like I genuinely, not just for the podcast, and I know some people may not like that, but I do not see myself classified into in one way or another. There is one website, it's called Sheikhpedia or something like that. I forgot what is it called. It's just an Wikipedia, but for speakers. Okay. And the guy classified me as Wahhabi, right? Because I was born in Riyadh and lived there for.
You got the CV, bro.
CV, alhamdulillah. So I never correlated. You brought it up. It might be possible. I never correlated being born, raised in Riyadh or Saudi Arabia to linking it with engineering and structure versus someone who's more different background. I never actually looked at it, but now that you mentioned it, I'll start.
You're going to become aware of it.
Yeah. But Allahu A'lam.
Yeah. No, alhamdulillah, it's just interesting because look,
Absolutely.
the topic of tazkiyah for a long time, it was something people kind of associated with the mystical and the kind of tasawwuf
Yes.
versus tazkiyah.
Yes.
You know, and it's a topic that's really missing from our practice, really.
Yes. And I guess if we watch some YouTube videos of a sheikh of that background, you kind of find that not relating to some spiritual content, and they're more focused on one topic over the other, where other people have different school of thoughts. But I think nowadays these lines are blurred.
Yeah.
So I think we're just tackling the topics, hopefully in a good way. And we're also learning from our scholars and so on and so forth.
Yeah, mashallah.
As ahsant. Jazakallah khair.
Well, yeah. And Sheikh, the other thing is, brother.
Yeah, anything.
Anything, alhamdulillah.
See,
Imagine if we're in the workplace, what am I going to call you?
MJ. Actually, in workplace, one guy asked me, "Can we call you Maj?"
Maj.
Yeah. So I said, "No, Majed."
Exactly, please.
Yeah.
So, do you have family? Any children?
Alhamdulillah, married. I have 4 children.
MashaAllah.
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. Ages?
8, 7, 3, and 8 months. Alhamdulillah. May Allah protect all of our children and make them the coolness of our eyes.
Ameen ya Rab. So I want to ask you this because working full time and then being involved in the dawah, how have you made it work?
If any good would come out of it, then it's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And any success that comes out of it, once again, just to emphasize, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can say time management, skills, courses, workshops I attended, gifted nature. No, all that is meaningless. It's all from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Anything good. Anything, then you can say, then because of such and such. So first and foremost, and I'm very grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to put me in a position where I can talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's first and foremost. How to do it? Just, you know the time management, you know what you're capable of. Make sure you don't take, let's say, da'wah tasks, engineering tasks at the expense of your priority. So this prioritization aspect. For example, I would not work on a lecture at the expense of delaying my engineering project.
Right.
Because that's not my deen.
Yes.
My religion teaches me the trust of that engineering project has to be fulfilled. You know, we're getting paid for this and so on and so forth. And then you take the da'wah tasks accordingly, for example, right? And obviously you can look backwards.
Yeah.
I take the da'wah because I don't want my engineering to take over my life as well. Part of our existence on earth is to convey. So I think the managing between both, and of course the family, is key. And always talk to people around. As I said in the somewhere in our podcast, for you to know yourself, you need to ask people, right? Yeah. It's very difficult for you to know who you are just by yourself. Just you assess yourself. That's one way. Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, what did he say? Al-mu'min mir'at al-mu'min. So, kama qal, he says the believer is the mirror of the believer, right? So you get to tell me.
Yeah.
So I get to speak to my spouse, speak to my children. How is everything? How am I doing, right? Do you think I'm traveling too much? Do you think I'm working? So they tell you, you know what, you're doing good here, but adjust there. And you take their advice. Yeah. So when I hear from family, hear from especially closer ones, right? I adjust accordingly, inshallah. And then just hear from them.
Assalamu alaikum guys, me again, reminding you to head over to islam21c.com/donate to keep the lights on Islam 21c. We pride ourselves on being independent and being funded by the grassroots community.
There's a saying in business as well, perception is reality. So the perception people have of you is actually the reality.
Yes.
You know. So the fact that alhamdulillah you've got the balance and Allah's put barakah in your life and your time, and Allah put more barakah in it, that Allah gave you the tawfiq to do all of this. People who are working, and you must have colleagues who are Muslims as well. I work again in one of these type of organizations, and often you find the Muslims who work there saying that, look, you know, how do we practice Islam when we focus on work? What advice do you give your colleagues who want to get closer to Allah, yet still, they're doing, fulfilling the rights of their work?
That's a very good question. Obviously, you can get carried away in the workplace, especially if you're living in or surrounded by people who may not really worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it can be challenging. If I have one and only one advice, I would say be sure to hang out with believers.
Yes,
be sure to hang out with someone who will remind you to say Bismillah before you eat and you drink, right? Someone that tells you, oh, did you pray dhuhr? This is priceless. At work, you get carried away with meetings and so on. So one of the ultimate advice I would actually give is surround yourself with righteous companionship and make sure that at work, I faced it multiple occasions of being offered things that are completely against my faith.
Yeah.
And respectfully reject it, respectfully maybe provide them a substitution or alternative, and then just be strong enough, especially let's say in the US. I'm not sure about the UK, but I'm assuming it's similar. Alhamdulillah, we're so blessed to live in this part of the world, and some people get shocked by saying that. No, we're really blessed to live in, let's say in my situation, the US, Canada. There's a lot of, messed up things there, but also there's a lot of great things there as well, right?
Yeah.
So we have our rights and the religious rights and so on. So you tell someone, I don't do 1, 2, and 3, and you'll be shocked at how many people respect that. I remember clearly one person said to me, we really respect how you hold tight your principles. So people honor that, there's nothing wrong with it.
So I want to ask you actually something that's kind of just literally come to my mind as you're talking, that brings in your being an engineer in the workplace, your tazkiyah, and good adab, right? And this is a challenge a lot of Muslims face in the workplaces. When it comes, you must have this annual reviews.
Yes.
So how you've performed, and you get marked on how well you've done in the workplace. As a Muslim, you have this thing that, look, you don't talk about the good that you've done. Number one. So from a tazkiyah perspective, you want to stay humble.
Yeah.
To the way you speak to management as well, from an adab perspective.
Yes.
Right. But at the same time, you want to be a proactive, successful Muslim in the workplace.
Yes.
What advice do you give people in that situation? How do you deal with it?
In the workplace, I would say assess the situation of what to say and when to say it and how to say it. It plays a role. So I'll give an example. In my situation, I'm under pressure naturally to represent Islam as best as possible, right? Because whatever move you do, it's Islam, right? Especially that, you're a Muslim preacher, correct?
Yeah. Once they know that, then
So everything you're this is something to keep in mind. I'll give you a quick example. In general, in Islam, what we learn, Allah says, "Ud'u rabbakum tadarru'a wa khufya." So you preach. You worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you worship Allah in privacy. Okay? So your default status is to be keeping it to yourself unless there's a benefit to go public, like donation. Yes, you can donate in public, you can promote such so on and so forth. So in the workplace, it's understood that when you speak about yourself, it's not arrogance. You see the difference?
Okay.
So people do not perceive you that, you're showing off. No, that's how the things work in this way. You say, I've done this project in such time and I exceeded expectations. There's nothing wrong with that. I remember one time there was the top 10 students in engineering.
Right.
Alhamdulillah, 1 year I was one of the top 10. But my name was not on the list that is published, which everyone looks at as they walk by the dean's office. And Allah knows my intention, but I genuinely did not care that my name was there. But I wanted my name there, so when people walk by, they see Mahmoud, a Muslim name in a way, right?
Yeah.
So I went and I spoke to them. They apologized and they added Majed Mahmoud. So I may not do that necessarily in other places, but I think in this place I wanted that to be known. But once again, you assess a situation that should not, in certain cases, be your default status. Keep boasting about everything. Look at my achievements and so on. But in certain situations, that's what you have to say to be able to move forward, to grow, and so on and so forth.
And then I guess it's important, the point that you were making earlier about being connected to good people that keep you in check.
Yes.
Otherwise, you can start believing your own hype.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
accent.
push your hands up.
No, accent. And honestly, in the workplace, I'll just say that from a corporate world, if you need to say your achievements, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Because your achievements should speak for themselves, your behavior, your actions, right? I don't have to tell my manager I do everything on time. No, he has to know that already.
Yeah.
Right. So if you see yourself, you're justifying it to someone who should have known, then there's something wrong about that.
Okay.
Unless you're going for a new job. That's a different story, right? You tell them I did 1, 2, and 3. But usually in your local job, you should be known.
Good.
Yes.
Okay, alhamdulillah. So you kind of attended AlMaghrib, you were saying, that kind of brought you into this, into practicing and being more active in the dawah scene. Who were your favorite scholars? And they didn't that you had access to the Arabic language as well.
Alhamdulillah.
That had an impact on you.
Yeah.
And I say favorite, maybe that's the wrong word, right? But you tell me, as in who are the scholars
So
that
maybe
influenced you the most?
you mean who had the most impact on
That's
me?
right.
How about that?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. So impact-wise, everyone had an impact. Like, I literally, طبعا,
Not properly.
No. See, the only one you can kind of exaggerate something is maybe your spouse, right? The best cook, the best looks, the best speech, the best such and such.
Yeah.
But honestly, when it comes to the instructors, you name me any instructor, I could give you a story that they impacted me. Any instructor to that level.
Really?
Yeah, anyone. Sheikh Abdul Bari Yahya, Sheikh Hassan Hanif, Sheikh Waleed Basyouni, Sheikh Abdul Hakim, Quick, everyone, every single one. Dr. Rida, when he was teaching, Dr. Sheikh Riyad, every single one. So everyone had an impact.
Abu
Eesa? Sheikh Abu Eesa, definitely, most definitely. Sheikh Eesa taught me being blunt, but it can be a bit controversial. Yeah. But definitely learn from him as well. Let me tell you something about Sheikh Abu Eesa since you mentioned him. You know how, and I actually thought about Sheikh Abu Eesa while you're talking, and you said, Allah put barakah in your time. You did this 1, 2, and 3. So I said the same thing to Sheikh Abu Eesa. We were in Canada. I told Sheikh Abu Eesa, you did all of these things in your life, and mashallah, you're relatively young. You did this and you did that, and then he looked at me. He doesn't even know me like so well. It was just many years ago. He said, if you're impressed by me, he said, you have such low standards. I'm like, what? How can you say that? Like, you don't know me that well. And he just gave it to me in my face. If I'm so impressive to you, that means you have low standards. So that's very humbling to him. But in a way, can look insulting to me. Right? But I'm like,
but I will. I was about to say, don't worry, that's why we're not impressed by you. But
Ahsan. So the point being is that, also we learned that from him, right?
MashaAllah, good.
Yeah, excellent. So every sheikh, Sheikh Yasir Qadi, Sheikh Umar Sulaiman, it's just everyone. I'll tell you one thing about Sheikh Waleed Basyouni. There's a lot. He was walking one time, teaching a class, AlMaghrib class, and he tripped due to one of the electric wires.
Yeah.
And when he tripped, the first thing he said was Bismillah. And that's not easy.
Yeah.
Because it's so subconscious. So this I was so impressed. And out of the whole class, I would say the highlight of my class, some people are like, come on, you're exaggerating. No, one of the highlights of this whole weekend was when he was about to fall off a wire. Because that was subconscious.
Yeah.
When you teach, I'm not saying act, it's a performance. You can, but when you are about to fall,
that's who you are.
Yeah, your true colors show up. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ, he teaches us that the الصبر عند صدمة الأولى. So the true patience pop up the moment you're struck with a calamity. Right?
Yeah.
So I was just things like that we all learn.
Yeah. Are you quite close to the other Canadian mashayikh? So Sheikh Naved Aziz,
Sheikh Naved, mashallah,
Sheikh Nala, for example. These are some of the ones.
Yeah, wonderful. May Allah bless them. Not very. Sheikh Naved, alhamdulillah. I actually just spoke to him 2 days ago. He's in Medina. May Allah accept from him. No, wonderful. Alhamdulillah. We have good connections overall. And this is the great vibe we have, honestly, with, I learned from our mashayikh how we have differences of opinion, but there's respect, there's things of that sort. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, I can see it's different when I say Canada, but because for the UK, you've got different mashayikh from the UK, it's still quite small.
Yeah.
But Canada's huge, yeah?
Yes, yeah. But I think we have fewer shuyukh than UK, my assumption.
Okay.
In
probably,
UK,
yeah.
you have a huge number.
Yeah, mashallah.
So Canada may be bigger in land, but a lot smaller in the amount of people, right?
yeah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And the land of maple syrup, yeah?
Ahsant. No.
You like maple syrup?
Alhamdulillah.
They won't revoke your passport, don't worry.
No, alhamdulillah.
So what was the first big conference that you spoke at?
The first conference I ever was invited to was in Orlando, Florida. Yeah.
Did you go to Disneyland as well?
Yeah, Disneyland. I actually took my whole family.
Mashallah.
It was so exciting conference and so on and so forth. Alhamdulillah, may Allah grant us sincerity and stuff like that.
How did you feel going from that student to teacher? Like, was it something that you thought about, or was it you felt, okay, alhamdulillah, this is a privilege and an honor, or did you feel that perhaps I shouldn't be there?
At the beginning, I never ever thought in my life I will be doing what I'm doing now, ever. But as I got to learn more and more, I still did not see it myself until one time I was in a Friday khutbah and the khatib did not show up. I never gave a Friday khutbah before, ever, or a lecture. And I'm getting relatively older and older. And one guy said, you know, we have Brother Majed. I'm like, are you crazy? He's like, yeah, you go give khutbah, bro. The khatib didn't show up. I'm like, I never give khutbah. He's like, no, go for it. So when I delivered the Friday khutbah, I'm like, wow, this is, you know what? I felt very good. But still, what did I tell you a few times? You hear it from the people.
Yeah.
So the principal of the school, because it was at the school, she said to me, can you give Friday khutbah next time? She's like, we appreciate that. It wasn't too bad, you know? So then that's when this started happening, few talks here and there, and then that's when I saw it coming, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah.
But the transition was, obviously, I was very emotional. I remember getting the phone call from AlMaghrib saying, we're looking, to hire you, things of that sort. Obviously, I pray to Allah to never allow me to take it for granted, in this day and age, just to appreciate every moment, and it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah. So I was just thinking about that point, actually, going from, becoming the khatib, and that kind of those feelings when you have it. Did you, Sheikh Haytham, one of our scholars, one of the senior scholars in the UK, he always gives advice to his own students, and he says, once you become known as a speaker or a da'i or a scholar, he goes, always be prepared to step up. He goes, wherever you go, always be prepared, because once you're known as that, they will see you, they will look to you for that,
Nice.
and always be ready. So he goes, I make sure. And so I start to see actually with some of the students that they would, wherever they go, they'd always bring their notes.
Nice.
Because they never know that when the opportunity arises or the need arises that they're there for it. So subhanAllah, they called you for Jummah,
Yeah.
Gotta be ready. You gotta be ready.
Good advice, wallah. I appreciate that.
When you're in work, do you do Jummah in the office or do you go to the masjid?
So we do have alhamdulillah, a significant amount of Muslims in my workplace. So we have Friday khutbah at the workplace at times. But I usually go out to the masajid.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, mashallah.
Yeah.
Generally, where you are in Windsor, what's the makeup of the Muslims? Are they from a specific region, specific cultural group, or is it quite
in Windsor, or where do I live now?
Oh, where do you live now then?
So I moved to Detroit or Dearborn.
Oh, sorry.
Dearborn, Michigan.
Dearborn, Michigan, yeah.
So Dearborn is known to be one of the most congested areas with Arab in the entire nation.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of Arab over there in Dearborn. We have even a sister, an older sister. She swears to God that she lived in Dearborn for 10 years. She never spoke English. Never.
Really?
Only Arabic. Even one time she said a cop stopped her and he started speaking to her in English. So the one thing she knows, and he says, me no English. So he said, I'm Arab, I will speak to you Arabic. So that's what's known about Dearborn. But if you go into the suburbs, that's where you get very diverse, wonderful people around. And from Pakistani to you have Somali, you have a big Bengali community. Wonderful, alhamdulillah.
MashaAllah.
Yeah.
Have you had Bengali cuisine?
Bengali cuisine? No, I don't think so.
You know, because I'm not Bengali, I can't even crack a joke about it.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
But okay, good, alhamdulillah. But you like biryani? Is biryani your number one dish, or
One of the top, yeah, definitely. It's up there.
is it?
Yeah,
Mashallah,
yeah.
mashallah. But generally, the food that you have, is it, would you say Middle Eastern? Or
Middle Eastern, yes.
Okay, mashallah,
Yes,
mashallah.
yes.
Do you do much cooking yourself?
No.
Can you beat an egg?
Yes. Inshallah. Inshallah.
Only when he's been naughty, yeah.
Yeah. Inshallah. But actually, no, I've never in my life cooked, actually.
Nothing.
Never in my life. The only thing, the furthest I went was scrambled eggs.
Alhamdulillah.
And that was like times of desperation. But I've never, it's a bad thing, I guess, sometimes. But
Why is it bad? Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
alhamdulillah.
As long as my marriage life is healthy.
Allah bless your marriage. Allah bless your marriage.
Yeah, remember, it's just, what does the wife think? If she's okay with it, I'm like,
Yeah, man.
alhamdulillah.
Ask the question when you go back now, isn't it? What's your view of being able to cook?
Yes. But I think, I'm sure the wives in general would appreciate when the husband tries. So, I can do a bagel, put cream cheese on it and stuff.
And a bit of salmon, yeah. You like salmon?
Smoked salmon, yes, of course, absolutely.
Mashallah, mashallah.
Yeah.
So look, what advice would you give our listeners and viewers with regards to manners? What's the kind of top 3 things you could say as advice?
For manners, it should be everyone's goal to improve in their manners. You should never, ever, until your last breath, settle with your level of character and manners. You should always seek improvement. And to back this up, Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, Rasulullah, Allah says in the Quran, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You have great character. So some people, when they are praised very much, they don't improve because they say, I'm the best at this, right? So why should I improve?
Yeah.
The Prophet ﷺ, Allah is telling him, you're absolutely phenomenal, you're great. But the Prophet himself used to ask Allah to have him improve his character. So if the Prophet ﷺ himself used to ask Allah to have his character improved, then what about us?
Yeah.
Right? And I have a statement, I say, whoever does not see the need to learn more about manners is a sign that they need it more than anyone almost.
Yes, true.
Right? So many people belittle such topics like, come on, it's not a big deal. No, this is what Islam is all about. And it's a big statement to say, right? Islam is all about character.
Assalamu alaikum guys, last reminder I promise. Head over to islam21c.com/donate to help this movement get to the next level. So we have genuine, high quality media articulating Islam in the 21st century and developing confident Muslims impacting the world for the better.
How do you reconcile that with the people who then just focus on it? Because you have this as well. Look, Pakistan, where I'm from, I guess this is generally in the subcontinent, they all say, they talk about huquq al-ibad. They say, look, people don't treat each other well. They just focus, I'm a good person. You must have heard this.
Yes.
I'm a good person. That's all that matters. Where's the balance?
The balance is, we know when I said Islam is all about good character, but here good character is with the creator and the creation. So Rasulullah he says, إِنَّمَا بُعِثْتُ لِأُتَمِّمَ صَالِحَ الْأَخْلَاقِ. He says, I was not sent for any other reason except to perfect good character. So what is Islam? It's all about character. That's why he was sent. But I think where we you have roughly, this is very generic, 2 groups.
Yeah.
People that focus on their relationship with Allah, like salah, fasting, that kind of, and then others, but they do horrible with the people.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe be rude, harsh. But
don't fulfill contracts.
Yeah. But then you have others, they're like, such sweethearts, right? They're so kind with people, but where's your salah? Yeah, there's no need, as long as my heart is pure. So you have like 2 very distinct type of groups. And by the way, even that is wrong in a way, because when you are good to Allah, that means you're good to the creation. Yeah. You can't actually separate that. And then that's where you come in the picture and you see Rasulullah who mastered both.
No.
He used to pray at the night and he used to serve the people in the day. right?
Yeah.
So trying to combine these two is what our dream is, to be that type of person who's so great with the Creator and so great with the creation as well.
Ameen, alhamdulillah. And from a point of tazkiyah, what advice would you give the people?
The advice, Wallahi Sheikh, it really boils down to the point I mentioned, friendship. Just tell me who your friends are, you know. If you're able to work this out, I think inshallah everything else will be easy. And it's a big statement to say, I do realize that.
Yeah.
You know, let's say I get 10 phone calls about parents complaining about their child. Brother Majed, please help us out. My son, my daughter, this and that. You know, people have different way of asking questions and having a diagnosis, right? My first question, one of my first questions is that I ask the parent. They said, my child has changed. My child no longer does this. My first question, have you noticed a change in their friends?
Yeah.
Allah's my witness. 9 out of 10 said yes.
Wow.
9 out of 10 say yes. And even one parent said, and yes, how do you know, Brother Majed? I said, no, I'm just asking. No, you know something that we do not know. I'm like, la wallahi, I'm just asking, have you noticed a change in their friends? Because it's the essence. You know, it's just the whole friendship aspect. And I know this very famous hadith that the man who committed a major sin, you know, he killed 100 people, right? Yeah. Very famous, authentic narration. He went to a alim, a scholar. He says, would Allah ever forgive me? I want to return back to Allah. He says, inshallah, there's room for Allah to accept your repentance. Now this scholar, and I want you to put yourself in their shoes and in the shoes of the one who committed that sin, who's genuine, they want what? To repent.
Yeah.
Now the one who committed that sin is all ears, correct? Like whatever the scholar tells him, he will do. And the scholar knows that, correct?
Yes.
Out of everything the scholar knows in Islam, everything out there, he gave him one and only one advice. He didn't give him 2, he didn't give him 3, he gave him 1. He didn't say this is a translation to the holy book of the time. Yeah. He didn't say, go, this is a pamphlet for you to read. He didn't say, go to this location. No. He said, by the way, I don't belittle any of that. All these things are good.
Yeah.
He said to him, you are around people who are corrupted, so let go of that group of people. Is that enough? No. He said, then go to such and such location. In it are righteous people. And then that man, we know he left the wrong crowd.
Yeah.
And on his way to the good crowd or the other city, so yes. City A, he went to city B and he died, right?
Yeah, on the way, yeah.
And then the angels came to judge, and then with Allah's help, of course, and they determined that the man died closer to city B.
Yeah.
What does this tell you? As if what determined whether this man made it to heaven or hell was what? Who were his friends? Because he was closer to the righteous. Yeah. And that's as a result. So this is what the scholar has advised. And this is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And it really comes down to it. If I have one last thing, I pray for my children. Yeah, we pray for them to be steadfast in their prayer. 100%. But the dua of Allah, grant my children righteous friends. That's key. Even for adults as well. It's not just a child topic. So that's my advice for tazkiyah, advice to be committed, advice to be steadfast. You know, I walk with you. If I said something that is wrong, inshallah, you'll advise me, right? And then that's the thing. I can listen to a lecture, that's great, but having a great friend, that's priceless.
Of course. They will impact you without you even realizing.
Yes.
And how many traits do you share with your close friends?
Yes, absolutely.
You don't even realize.
Absolutely.
Brother Majed, I'd like to say Ustadh.
Or whatever you like, Sheikh, whatever you're comfortable with.
Jazakumullah, I really appreciate it. And I guess the people won't know this, but you literally drove up here, got out of your car, and walked straight here.
Yes.
So we appreciate that as well. Allah bless you.
Allah
bless your family. Allah allow us to take your advice, inshallah, and have good righteous companions in this world, and then give us those in the hereafter.
Ameen ya Rabb, Ameen ya Rabb. I just want to also, if you don't mind, just want to thank all those who are listening. So if you listened, Jazakallah khair, and I appreciate your patience, and may Allah allow you to apply whatever good that you have learned. And I want to thank you to our dear host, Jazakallah khair, and our brother who would typically have hosted, but he's not here, so may Allah also bless him.
Ameen.
And our brothers behind the camera, behind the laptop, and all those behind the scenes. So say thank you so much, Jazakumullah khair. This is teamwork, and this is an example of how a team works. They may hear the voice, right? The people are hearing just you and I speaking,
That's right.
but they may not know there's a massive team behind all of this put together.
That's right.
So, Jazakumullah khair to all of you.
Jazakumullah.
Thank you so much.
So we've done our side. You can be part of the team as well. Please do like, share, comment as well. Perhaps you've got some good examples of good adab that you'd like to share. Please share them in the comments. Let other people benefit from it as well. Share it with your friends, inshallah. And you'll find us across all platforms, Apple, Android, YouTube as well. And share it with your family. You know, we try and make these podcasts a little bit more conversational so people can see that actually they're real people, our guests, alhamdulillah. So Jazakumullah khair from Umar Sulaiman on behalf of Islam 21C Unscripted Podcast. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Unscripted.